So my name is Nathan DeBose. I am the treasurer-elect for this year's Accounting Society, if you guys don't know who I am already. And then joining me today, I have
Anna. I'm the treasurer, and I'm so happy to see all your guys' faces here, and hopefully will be a lot of help for you guys.
I'm Evan. I'm the VP internal, if you didn't know already. Same thing. I'm really happy to see you guys in here. Hoping we can learn something.
And I'm Sabrina. I'm the VP of External Affairs elect. And we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, so before I get into this presentation, I wanted to get an idea of whether we have first time recruiting students this time or second time. So if you want to just leave a little chat in the box so I can see where everyone's at, whether it's your first time, second time. Looks like a lot of first timers. Okay, so this whole presentation will be great for you guys.
Yeah, awesome.
So what I'm going to talk about first is the webcam etiquette. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with doing your classes virtual now. If you have your webcam on, this is what you want to look out for. So you want to make sure that your computer is in line with your face, kind of like mine right here. And if you want to look at Anna's as well, hers is set up really nice. So you want to make sure it's in line with your face, avoiding upward and downward angles. Another important thing is to sit up straight. This will help you with your confidence as well and portray you more professionally to the firms. You want to avoid being backlit because it'll create shadows and it'll dim the light on your face. As well, if you're wanting to do a virtual background, I recommend to keep it school related and simple because you don't want to have distracting backgrounds. Other things to avoid are ceiling fans behind you, people walking by, and anything that might be considered inappropriate. Make sure the room you're in is quiet, and remember that it's a conversation setting that you're talking to with the firm. So ideally your microphone will be on the whole time, as it'll be a lot of back and forth. Next. Okay, so professional attire, you want to wear colors that will stand out and show up clearly on camera. Don't wear colors that will get washed out by your background. And you want to avoid wearing like stripes and dots because when you're on camera, they can kind of show up weird and could be a little distracting. If you're not sure what professional means, I'd recommend Googling it because there's a lot of good images out there, also some on the presentation, but blouses, button-ups, suit jackets are optional, but they make you look nicer. Blazers and then cardigans. And the last thing I'm gonna recommend and emphasize is to check how you look on camera before you get into the meeting. Make sure your camera is set up well and your background is clear and you're ready to go.
All right, so I'm just gonna talk about sort of keeping up your professionalism while you're in a virtual setting. Going into these things, I know it's very nerve-wracking, but it's good to keep as much of a positive attitude as you can. And if it kind of helps, it kind of helps to look at it like this is what your future job may look like, and this is your chance to learn about it. So really, it is nerve-wracking, but if you take a positive outlook on it, it can be a really fun experience going to Career Connections. Make sure to ask questions. If they're genuine, spur-of-the-moment questions, ask them if they're appropriate. Or if you prepare some advance, that's also really good. Try to be genuine when you're talking to these people. You want to make as real of a connection as you can because that's how you're gonna find people at firms that, one, that you want to work at, and two, people at the firms that will help you get in there. And yeah, if you find out that you guys have a common interest, don't be afraid to bring that up. Take your time, make sure to breathe. It's not good to sort of have to catch your breath in the middle of a phrase. You can ramble if you start going off immediately, and that's never good. And a little tip is that pausing to sort of ponder the question before you talk can give the impression of intelligence. Yeah, okay, and just try to know your answers for as many things as you can before going into the scenario. It's not necessarily an interview at Career Connections, but it helps to go over some interview questions on some things like Glassdoor. That's where you can find a lot of common interview questions. And practicing with someone those interview questions that you know and you're comfortable with, it'll stop you from doing all the ums and sort of things like that. And just like that. And know your elevator pitch as much as you can. Like practice it a lot, practice it on your own time, practice it when you're driving, just so it kind of flows naturally. Practice it in front of people, and you don't want to sound robotic or rehearsed. Tax or audit is a big question that maybe, since seeing that a lot of you guys are first time, some of you might not know if you don't know if you want to do tax or audit yet because you haven't really taken any classes for it. That's totally okay. Try to do as much research as you can to see what will fit you the best. But if you're still undecided, that's totally okay. I'd recommend when you go to talk to someone, decide what you want, decide what you're going to say for this firm, because it looks good and it makes it sound like you're more planned out, even if you're not exactly sure. Yeah, and ask them about tax versus audit and why they chose what they're in.
It's kind of hard to know exactly what questions they're going to ask you. More often than not, you're going to be asking them questions and trying to figure out exactly if this firm is what you're looking for. They're going to sell themselves to you. But then again, depending on who you meet with, in my experience, I've had people who are last semester's Career Connections. I had some of the higher up managers and stuff. When you go to talk to them, they will ask you questions about something on your resume because they're going to have that in front of them. So if they do ask you certain questions and you don't know how to answer them, especially situational ones, when they ask, maybe tell me about a time that you struggled with this and you need to overcome it, or what happened, or tell me about a time you were in a project with students and it didn't go very well, and you had to get past that and finish the project or whatever it is, or at work. Use this STAR process. So first thing you want to do is pick a situation that you were in. You describe the task that was at hand. You tell them exactly what the action is that you took, and then you explain the result. And this process actually helps a lot more than you might think. I know it sounds super obvious and super straightforward, but I'm sure Sabrina, Evan, and Anna can all attest that when you are in an interview or any kind of connection with a professional, at least one question will come up where you may have to use this process, and it helps a tremendous amount. You have that answer locked and loaded. You follow this quick path, and you sound professional. You look great. It's fantastic. So, next slide.
Can I add something to that?
Of course.
So I'm looking at the last letter R, result, and that to me really means is make sure you're telling a story that's going to lead to highlighting a professional skill that you have. So if you don't tell a story that's oh, I was in a group, everyone sucked, we got an F, end of story. Not a good story. So if you're telling a story like that, make sure you're pulling out oh, there was communication issues that showed me just how much communication is important to working on a team. And then share with what it is that the action, what you guys did to get a better result. So definitely don't tell a story that has a downside result. Definitely leave off with a good highlight and on your professional skills.
Yeah, definitely. And then another thing to emphasize is that I'm bouncing off just what Anna said, where it leads to something that went successful, and attach it to something that you're good at. If you can end it saying that you use your leadership skills to help lead the team to success, or that you have to be patient with certain people, or you have to learn that maybe have to cut someone off from your group just to get a good result, share that. Be specific about everything. This process, using the STAR process, I guess you can say it, is a good way to prepare yourself to be very specific about an event that led to your success. So don't just use it as a general thing and be really vague about it. You have the framework right here. Use it to be specific. Use it to give an exact certain instance where you were successful in a difficult situation.
Can I add something also really quick? Yeah. So this can also be really helpful if you do think that you have a weakness. It could be really helpful to have an example of a time that shows how you overcame that weakness or something like that. So consider that as well. So because that's another question that gets brought up a lot is, what are your weaknesses? So
Okay, so make sure you do your research in preparation before you meet with the firms. We're going to be sending out emails. Like, when you guys know exactly what firms you're meeting up with, you're going to know what time you're meeting up with it. Meeting up with the firms on the virtual setting. Be prepared for it. Know exactly what you can. Do your Google research. You can surprise how much information you can find. Glassdoor is a great resource. Their website is a fantastic resource. You can research the industries that they're going to be talking, or that they're a part of, the industries that they work with. See if there's anything in there that interests you. If you can talk with a higher up manager and say, hey, I've always wanted to work in the food and beverage industry, and on the accounting side of it, do you guys offer that at your firm? You should already know that. You can already know that information and say, hey, what is it like to work in this industry? What do you think about this industry? And it shows that you've done your research and that you're one step ahead of maybe everyone else. Another thing you can usually find is on Glassdoor, or really anywhere, just looking up what the firm values, what charities they're a part of, what extracurricular activities they offer, what people say about the firm, what the culture is like. Those are all things you can find on Google that will give you a better idea of the firm and show that you've done your research. And then the question, are there stupid questions to ask the firm or the professionals? The answer is yes. If you can find the information on Google, then you shouldn't be asking them that question. Asking them, for instance, like, where are you guys located? That's something you should never ask, because you should be able to look it up and find out where they're located. Industries they serve, just general stuff like that. Just go on the website. You can read through it, take an extra half hour one night to go through it, and just prepare yourself for what you might do. If you are able to know who you're going to be meeting with, look them up on LinkedIn, see what you can find out about them. Maybe you guys have a common interest. Maybe you have family that went to a similar college. Maybe maybe there's something there that you can bring up to them to create a personal connection first. Creating a personal connection with the professionals is a great way to get things started. It eases the nerves and it helps you kind of flow into a conversation about yourself, as opposed to, because I'm willing to bet, and I'm sure everyone can attest to this that's done this, is that most people, when they go to talk to one of the professionals, the first thing they start to do is talk about themselves. But they're people. We want to connect with them. You ask them questions about their past, how they got here, what they did, what school they went to, stuff like that. Make that connection first, and then start selling yourself afterwards. And LinkedIn is a great way to do that, to bridge that gap. So you all definitely want to come prepared with talking points. The conversation should never go into a lull if you are prepared for that. So if you have questions to ask, maybe setting out 10 questions, obviously not yes or no questions, stuff that they must elaborate on to answer, will give you an opportunity to let the conversation run and flow really well. And if you feel like they're talking and rambling about something that isn't very important to you, or they're kind of repeating themselves, feel free to butt in with another question. Get the conversation moving in a direction where you're going to learn a lot about the company and a lot about what you might be interested in at that firm.
I'm on mute. A lot of you are pretty familiar with Zoom, I'm guessing, because you're on here on Zoom and we mostly use Zoom. But some of you are going to get some recruiting appointments going through Microsoft Teams. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Microsoft Teams, but it's actually pretty simple. And if you go to CSUSM on their website into the IITS department, you're going to find, an instruction guide and a download link. If you get an appointment for a Microsoft Team meeting, you don't have to download the app, but it's extremely recommended, because I actually did a meeting that I did download the app and it was running through my browser and it was really skippy. It was really hard to hear. And it kind of made it really tough to communicate on that platform. So I definitely recommend that if you do have a Microsoft Teams meeting, that you go ahead and download it. When you download it, it's really simple. You're going to get this little box to the right here. It pops up. It wants you to sign in. It'll ask for your username and password. It's the same username and password that you use to log into your CSUSM Gmail account. The only difference is going to be, notice here, I had put mine in, but there's no cougars. So just take out the cougars, put your last name, your number at csusm.edu. And that should get you in and get it downloaded. And I think from that point, if you get a meeting link for that, you just click on the link and it'll open up just like the Zoom links open up. As far as the post meeting, so after your recruiting office hours, so you had a really good conversation, you want to connect more, you have more questions to ask, or maybe you just want to keep making a better impression. Definitely follow up. Send them a thank you email. You can, I think Nathan had mentioned before, you can ask if there's anyone else that they can link you to so that you can find out more about, whether it's tax or audit, more people that you want to talk to, you can request to have a coffee chat with the recruiter. And definitely also make sure to watch out for those deadlines and get your resume, cover letter, get them submitted in for the summer leadership programs, internships, or if you're looking for a full staff position. Definitely watch those deadlines.
Anna, if I can jump in on this one really quick too. When you follow up with the recruiters and the professionals, add them on LinkedIn and send them a nice message and thank them for meeting with you. They're always busy. If you guys, I'm sure you guys know by now that accounting is a really busy field to be in. It's a really busy career, so they're always busy. So the fact that they can take the time and help us get to that next level of our careers is awesome. So and they really appreciate that, and that helps you get involved in their heads, which is really important, because when the recruiters go and they're talking to the partners, they're talking to the managers, thinking about who are we going to bring on as this intern for next summer, who are we going to bring on as this full-time staff for this time or January next year. They're going to think, you know what, well, I had a Career Connections event at Cal State I was a part of, and I can see that so-and-so is on the list here, and I spoke with them. They thanked me for their time. They were really professional, all this stuff. That's who I think we should bring on. They all interact and they all talk to each other. So that's definitely a big thing. In addition to that, after you guys meet with these individuals, if you go to an event and you only speak with one, or maybe you're a recruiter, or maybe you only speak with one person there, don't be afraid to say, hey, who else should I know at the firm? Who's a good person that I should reach out to next and talk to learn just a little bit more? Don't make them feel like what they gave you wasn't adequate, but it actually makes a really big difference to have your name in more people's heads and more people's mouths talking about it. Because like I said, when it goes time to hire someone or offer out an interview to someone, they're going to say, well, 5 people already know this person. That means this person's trying to get involved. They're really working for it. Let's interview them and see what more they have to say. So it really is big. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, to branch off what you're saying, I kind of forgot about that, but Nathan and I are both serving as ambassadors for Moss Adams this semester. And one of the things that I didn't know before is that they ask us to submit like candidate feedback. And they had said that anytime like a recruiter, any of the firm's employees, or even the ambassadors come in contact with students, that we submit, how our interaction was with them. So like Nathan was saying, it does matter because they actually do go back and they do, keep track of everyone's communications with each other to see exactly like how a student reacts with everybody.
Yeah, and this is their company, this is their job, this is like, and how involved they are. They want to know that the people that they're bringing on are going to make a difference and that are going to do a great job. So it's not something that they just kind of pick names out of the hat for who we're going to bring on for an internship. They want to know, is this person really going to do the work well? They want to know if this person is really trying to get hired here, if they're really trying to put in the work, if they're constantly following up, constantly asking questions, constantly trying to meet with new people at the firm. They're going to be way more inclined to bring you guys on. So it's really is a big thing. All right, so here's just a quick checklist. And I think we'll probably end up sharing this PowerPoint out. We'll probably send it out, hopefully, through the Accounting Society email, just so you guys can keep it all in mind. So just a quick checklist before you guys hop on to your meetings with the firms. Just make sure you double check all this stuff. Minimize your distractions. Sabrina mentioned, there's ceiling fans going in the background. If you guys have a dirty background, use a virtual background. If there's people in the room, maybe find a different room to be in. or if you can ask them just to leave, hey, I'm going to be on a call for 15 minutes. If you guys don't mind stepping out of the room for a little bit. I know a lot of people are still on quarantine, so families are all there, friends are friends, family, kids, all that stuff is there. So try to minimize those distractions. Another thing is that if something like a weird noise happens, say I don't know, someone drops something in the kitchen and makes a loud bang sound, or if a child screams, or if a dog barks, don't be afraid just to bring it up. Make it less awkward. It's going to be weird if they're talking to you and all of a sudden they hear a big like sound. They're going to be like, what was that? And it's like, oh, that's funny, this happened. And then it's all of a sudden everyone's on the same page, and it's light, it's funny, it's not a big deal. Make sure the space around you is cleared. Don't have just things that are distracting around you, obviously. And if, like I said, if you have a messy background, if you're in your room and you have clothes on the ground, clean it up, make sure it looks nice. For an example, I know Anna, she's in her office at home, I believe. And in her background, she has like a bookshelf, she has pictures, she has like, it's a whole thing. It can be kind of distracting. So she has a virtual background up right now. And it looks a lot more professional. And the firms, they know that this is what they're expecting, is that if you have something, that's busy in the background, keep it out. Evan's a bad example. And we did do this on purpose. So Evan wants to show up. He's got posters up. He's got a TV. I don't think he's washed his hair in days. No, is that right, Evan? No.
Not a single time, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Months.
He's got that. He's got a brown shirt on, come on.
Refuse to brush my teeth too.
Exactly. So those are all stuff you don't want to do.
Well, that doesn't matter though, because we're virtual.
That's true. Have as bad of breath as you want.
Yeah, exactly. And then have easy access to your resume. You should know your resume really well by now, especially preparing it for the virtual career connections. If they ask you, hey, you're serving as a chairperson on the Accounting Society, what does that mean? What are you doing? Have an answer to that, because speaking from experience, that happened to me last career connections, and I had to pull it out of the hat. I was not prepared for it. It didn't sound good. So yeah, have a speaking point to everything on your resume. If there's a particular job posting, internship posting, have that printed out as well. Have read through it a couple times so you know what they're probably going to ask you. Have stuff like, if it says we're looking for someone who does this well, somewhere in there, bring up that you do this well. Close out all the unnecessary tabs, windows, and applications on your computer. It's just for 15, 20 minutes at a time for each meeting. So, or 10, 20 minutes at a time for each meeting. So increase your bandwidth by, closing all that stuff out and have everything run a little bit smoother. Prior to the meeting, double check your webcam, your audio, your internet connection. And if you're using wireless headphones, make sure that they are compatible with your computer, make sure everything's working properly and that they're all charged up. I'll share two quick stories really quick, is that earlier, Anna was trying to use her headphones. We were doing a little pre-meeting before this. And for about 5-10 minutes, me and Evan were just making jokes because she wasn't able to get her headphones running. So yeah, like it's just one of those things. But if she had jumped on right away, cold feet going into this, we would have had problems in the beginning because her headphones wouldn't have been working. So, but she made the adaptation and everything's working out fine. And then the other thing, I'll let you finish. I'll let you jump in just a second. Is I was on a meeting with someone at a firm a couple weeks ago, and it was just a light, just catch up really quick with someone I had met a while ago, just following up. And I had my AirPods in, and I don't know if you guys have AirPods, but they make a little sound when they're dying. And he was rambling, so he was just talking to me. And so I started to hear my headphones are dying sound, and he's just still going, and there's no quick interruption. So like while I was talking to him, I just pulled my headphones out, grabbed other headphones, put them in, plugged them in, and it was kind of awkward because he was, in the middle of talking, and I had to just interrupt him by it. So, if you guys have wireless headphones, make sure they're charged, make sure they're connected well. And then above all, I know we're all addicted to our phones nowadays, but silence the cell phone, put it away for 15 minutes, clear your mind, and you guys are gonna do great. And then Anna, I think you want to add something in.
Yeah, I was going to say about earlier when I had different headphones on. So I actually had checked them like earlier before we got on the Zoom call. So always have a backup. So I did have these wired headphones sitting around, and then I ended up having to plug it in because I couldn't get it to work. So sometimes you go through this whole checklist, you check everything, and you're like, I'm ready to go. But also have like a few backups just in case.
Definitely. All right, and then if you guys don't have any other questions, we can, or I should say, hopefully you guys have questions. So basically what I want to really encompass really fast is that all the stuff we went through uh, was stuff that came from the firms. So it's this stuff that they wanted you guys to know, that they felt necessary for their employees to know. So, if the professionals, the senior managers, the partners, the first time staff at big firms are expecting all of their employees to know this kind of information, there's no reason you guys shouldn't know it too. It just puts you one step ahead. And then if you guys have had any experiences with virtual connections or any virtual meetings with firms or professionals or what have you, and you want to share your tips right now, feel free to hop on and share them. We're not the only ones who should be talking right now. If you guys have anything else you want to add, feel free to hop in. And then, yeah, thank you guys all for coming. And yeah, let's open up for questions now.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up, Josh?
Yesterday with the presentation from CBiz and then today, they were both very informative, but it just felt like tax and audit were obviously the focus. Those are obviously the two biggest ones. I mentioned yesterday that I'm really interested in forensic. I don't know if anyone that's here right now has done that. But should I even like bring up forensic as my first one, or should I go into tax audit first and then try to branch into forensic afterwards?
So I have a internship coming up this spring. So it's going to start in January with CBiz Forensic Department. So if you want to email me, I'd be happy to let you know how it goes. When I start it, it'll be a little later on, but if you're interested in it, go for it for an internship. If you find it's not for you, then, go for a tax or audit position later on. But, don't ever leave yourself not knowing what could have been. If it's something that sounds interesting to you, go for it.
Okay, thanks.
If anyone has anything else to add to that, go ahead.
To add to that, they aren't going to expect that if you're doing forensic that you already know, tax. All the internship positions, completely entry level, they expect that you know nothing. So they're completely aware that you might not have any experience in tax before going into forensic tax.
Definitely.
Okay.
I think that one of the primary focuses of the forensic one is where they kind of sold it is pretty cool. A lot of it's litigation, it's cases that you get to work with lawyers to come up with amounts, whether it's for alimony payments or for civil suits, for financial crime, stuff like that. And I know the higher you go up in the company or in the forensic department itself, pretty high, like senior manager or partner status, you actually get to serve as an expert witness on certain cases. If they need an expert witness in a financial part of it, you get to come to the court and actually serve as that expert witness, which I think is pretty cool.
Cool.
What else we got?
I know you kind of briefed over this, but is there like a time allotment that there should be, or you should be aiming for to talk with them? Like, did they say anything about a specific time with each student during the career connections for each student?
When you receive your meeting links, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe each meeting is 10 to 15 minutes long. I think it's 10 minutes with a 5-minute buffer.
Okay.
Just as a side note too, these are all recruiters and they're just gonna they talk a lot too. So you might not get as much in as you think. Okay. Definitely go prepared. It'll never hurt you to be underprepared. So you wanna go in prepared, but more than likely, they might talk the entire 10 minutes. Okay. And then as quick as, you started, it's over, so.
All right.
And then if I could add on to that really quick, a lot of the people you're going to be talking to too is recruiters and also some San Marcos people that just graduated are now working for that firm. So that helps with the nerves. Is a lot of these people, they graduated a couple months ago. So they were in your shoes less than a year ago. So that has helped me with my nerves with talking to people in Career Connections.
Yeah, Olivia, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to that. I just got the meeting scheduled for my first night on Career Connections, and one of the people is someone that I a student that graduated not that long ago, and he happens to be someone that I'm going to speak to from one of the firms. I think it's Aldrich. Yeah, and that's a huge relief because we already know each other. It's going to be really easy to, a lot less nervousness. So yeah, that's definitely a.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely. And just one other thing to remember is that they're just people, guys. They're all just people. You can just talk to them. They're people.
And you know what, if you guys are like wondering, well, what questions should I ask? And you're looking online and a lot of the information that maybe you had questions about are already being answered, think a little deeper about what it is that you want for your career. If you're looking to get your master's, ask them, maybe what they offer in terms of like how it works out with someone getting their master's at the same time as working. But it's like those kind of questions that also shows like, your eagerness and that you did your research, and it's a little bit more off the page of their website of information you can find. And then it's more specific to you because, this is more so them trying to sell their firm to you. They want you to come work for them. So they're going to tell you about themselves, and you need to make sure it's a right fit for yourself.
Evan, do you want to share something about your experience with any virtual connections or anything like that?
One thing you'll kind of notice with people when you're on these sort of settings is when they're talking, they'll start to get discouraged when they're looking at a blank screen, but I'm sure we all experienced with our professors. And obviously in Career Connections, you're going to have your camera on and you're going to be talking to them. But if you're a person that usually doesn't give much feedback physically or like talking when you're speaking with somebody, it can help to sort of like nod your head and hear that you know what they're saying and you hear what they're saying. That's something I've noticed.
Yeah, definitely. Smiling, laughing, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Helps out a lot. Sabrina, what about you? What's your experience been like so far?
I've done one virtual interview, but I've been through Career Connections, so I kind of understand the format. But I think that the way that we're doing it this year with having like 10 to 15 minute little one-on-one conversations is probably the most ideal situation that you could have, because you're also in a comfortable, like an environment you feel comfortable in. They're an environment they feel comfortable in. I feel like it'll just flow really well, and just make sure to be yourself. And smile is another good point. That is like the main thing that comes across on the cameras when you smile, and make sure you're just enjoying the conversation. And at the end of the day, remember that they're looking for people that they're going to want to work with too. So just be yourself and show that you would be a good person to have on their team.
Yeah, that's great input. Anna, would you like to share?
About the recruiting from last semester?
Yeah, you did
a story about that?
You did a lot of online or virtual interviews too, right?
Yes, a lot. They all went really well. The one thing that helped me the most is I had practiced ahead of time with Nathan. I had also practiced with my sister. And even that was like nerve-wracking for me, like going through questions and even having to like answer them in front of another peer. But I can't stress enough how much that freaking helped me. We had went through Glassdoor. We had pulled, interview questions specific to what those firms ask. I had formed responses, and it was so different from forming responses as you writing them down or texting or typing them out than it was to say them out loud. And so getting a friend like Nathan or anyone, if you want to grab a family member, brother or sister, somebody that'll sit on Zoom with you and mock interview you and ask you questions and you respond, helped me so much, because in those interviews, they did ask a lot of the questions that we went through. And instead of sitting there and being like, let me think about that, I had responses right off the bat, and I felt really confident, really prepared, and really ready to answer. So don't be shy to reach out to anybody in the accounting society, students, board members, anybody. we're all here to help each other, and I know you can find someone that'll do the same for you.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing I wanted to add is that I think hopefully in the next couple of days, we're going to send out a survey just to see what you guys thought about this meeting we held. The goal is for the future, because the Career Connections, what it usually leads into is the next step is the interviews for the internships or SLPs that are going to be coming up for you guys the following semesters and stuff like that. So if you guys really enjoyed this and you guys want to interact with us more in a kind of a similar setting, let us know that it went well. I guess one of our visions for one of these future meetings is to hold one specifically for interviews, to prep you guys for interviews. So what it would be certain breakout rooms held by maybe a board member or someone who's gone through the process before. And we're going to sit in there with you guys and just drill interview questions. We're going to give each other feedback, having a couple people who we can ask questions to, and just maybe 3 or 4 people in one setting, and just drill quick questions back and forth and get you guys comfortable with them. And I want to say it's a huge thing, because when you're sitting in that interview and they say, what are your strengths and weaknesses, your mind will go blank if you haven't said it to yourself or said it to someone else like 10 or 15 times. But and like I was saying about the STAR thing, if you have those things ready, when someone asks you, it doesn't matter who they are, you have it ready for it. You're ready to go. But yeah, Sam, do you want to share something? I know you did some virtual recruiting last semester too.
Hi guys, I'm not doing the helping with the meeting today, but I could share some of my recruiting. I think what really helped me was talking about things that are meaningful to me. Like if I bring that up in the interviews that I've had and like any spring career connections, I think that they are like taught, the recruiters are taught to like talk about it. So it's easy for you to talk about it, elaborate on it, just make it a conversation. I think that talking to them like, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you is like something that helped me when I went into it, like, what do I want to know about this position? What do I want to get from an internship, or what I'm seeking out about the firm? So just go in there and, be confident and know that, you prepared for it. You used, all the resources that you've been given, you're here right now. That's, putting you one step above, where you would have been yesterday. So just know that you're going in there prepared. And I think it helps. It definitely helps. So.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Albert, I love your background, man. I didn't realize it at first. I studied it for a second.
Thank you. One of the things that you guys mentioned was that they're going to be like sort of kind of like interviews. Are these going to be like one-on-one interviews, or is it going to be like a group interview?
Evan, do you want to share about that?
Yeah, so mostly it's going to be one-on-one scenarios. There's one firm where they're going to have, from what I know so far, there's one firm where they're going to have 2 people in the group call with you. But for the most part, it's going to be you and one other person speaking.
Well, I do know that on the Accounting Society website, there was like a deadline to like submit like some request RSVPs for certain companies to have like a one-on-one interview with. And on the 18th is when I tried doing some of those RSVPs, and it was a day too late. Is it possible like to reach out to them like in a different way, or?
To the firms?
Yes, like for example, like Deloitte is one of those that I try to contact.
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you want to talk on that, Anna? Or?
Well, I was just going to say, if you couldn't make it, on a specific office hour day, you can definitely try to connect with them through their recruiter. Any of you guys are definitely allowed to email their recruiters, request a coffee chat, tell them you're, very interested in finding out about their internship. You were unable to, make the actual office hour date, but you would love to connect. You want to, learn, hear more about it. So don't think that this is your only opportunity to connect. You guys can definitely reach out on your own and make those connections too. And if you need help finding who the recruiter is, I think any one of us board members can help direct your way. I don't know the recruiter for Deloitte, but I could figure it out. for you if need
Yeah,
be.
yes, please, definitely. I would love to know that.
Yeah, we all know someone from some firm that will recruit with us. So if you're really lost, reach out to them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a really good resource for that, and just connect with them and send them a nice message like, "Hey, I'm a San Marcos student. I'm really interested in your firm. I'd love to learn some more about it." And you'll get a reply.
Can you, so on LinkedIn, can you message someone even if you're not like connected with them?
Yeah, you can send them with your connection request. You can send a little
Okay.
message to say, "Here's who I am and here's why I want to connect with you." Yeah.
I have another question.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm still kind of like confused about the timeline of everything. So I know obviously we meet with the firms next week, but then is it like the applications to the internships become available at the end of the week and then we apply then, or like when do we even like hear back if we got an offer or not?
Have you submitted an application yet for the firms you're interested in?
Yeah, so I RSVP'd to meet all the firms, but do we apply to all them through like a handshake, or how do we actually like apply to the internships?
Yeah, so you want to go through Handshake and find the internships on there. I'm not sure if there's a specific area that you look on Handshake. I don't know if you know about that, or
You can probably just Google accounting, like accounting internships or jobs. Like there's a lot of filters that you can put on there, and they should pop up for you being an accounting major too.
Yeah, Handshake being an accounting major, it should give you like Deloitte's posting, Moss Adams posting, and everything. But they have a lot of different dates for when you need to submit is an important thing to know. So for Moss Adams specifically, if you want to be under their priority deadline, it's the 25th, so this Friday. But a lot of the other ones are October 1st, October 3rd, October 15th. So you just need to go and check and see which places you want to apply to and make sure you submit by that date.
Okay.
Yeah, so meeting with the recruiters for office hours doesn't automatically apply you. So you do need to apply. And I think all of them, except for Moss Adams, you apply directly through Handshake. Moss Adams, it's going to direct you to go to their website. I think it's like mossadamscareers.com. But you should be able to find that, even still on their Handshake post. And then it'll direct you there to submit your resume and your cover letter. And don't forget, like, reach out to your peers or anyone on the board. I don't know if you guys are in Business 300 or your EIRs or the Career Center to look over those resumes and those cover letters, because it does go through a machine where it kind of like automatically cancels you out or, pushes you through. So you definitely want to get keywords in there and have a second eyes on that.
then Sabrina, Anna, and Evan, and then myself. I think if we can all add our emails into the chat. So if you guys have any questions, shoot us an email, and then we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then additionally, if you guys haven't applied to Moss, or if you guys are interested in Moss Adams and you guys haven't applied yet, I have because I know their applications are not on Handshake, they're just on their website. I have the codes for it. So if you guys want to shoot me an email, I'll give you the code for the internship applications. And I'm super slow typing, so mine is not up yet.
Also, add us all on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, you can probably add the entire board. We'll all accept you.
All trying to get to the 500 connection.
Yeah, exactly.
This is outside of the, the actual like recruiting, but when you guys come to the Accounting Society meetings too, it definitely puts you on your radar when at the end of the meeting they say like, who has questions? And I've noticed like Albert, you've asked questions, Brian, you've asked questions when CBiz was on the other day. And I think that also, really increases your chances, because now I feel like they're gonna remember you. Maybe they won't remember your name right off the bat, but they're going to remember your face. And if they come upon you again, like definitely when you come to these meetings, try to ask a question, try to interact, definitely put you on their radar.
Yeah,
oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that there was a teacher that I had in another semester that was telling us that the best thing to always be memorized is always be inquisitive.
Definitely, yeah. Ask a lot of questions. Great. One of the things I was going to say really fast is that there's during the Accounting Society meetings last semester, there was someone that I met They're just one of the people from one of the firms they're presenting, and I added them on LinkedIn after I had a conversation with them after their presentation, and he just added me back like I think a week ago, and I think I added him in like February or January last year, and or no, this year. But like 9 months ago, I added him, and he just added me back because he saw me on another like meeting with like their firm. It was just one of their big general meetings that they offered, and I was on it. And he emailed me. He sent me a message on LinkedIn. And was like, "Hey, I know I recognize you from somewhere because I don't really check LinkedIn that often, but if you have any questions about the firm or what's going on right now, like feel free to hit me up, and then we can talk about it." So, add us on LinkedIn. Add anyone you meet in the professional world on LinkedIn. It's a great way to meet people and talk to people.
Yeah, and don't be offended if they don't respond within a week or 6 months, like Nathan said. I had a family member that took a year to add me back. So it's some people, they just get so deep in their careers, like that's not something they're thinking about if they're not a recruiter or involved in that. But still, try to add them, see if they respond.
Yeah, also that's a good recommendation for you too, Albert, with your question, like adding them on LinkedIn and then sending them a message that way. So you can introduce yourself and they can see your picture and you guys can just chat on there for a little bit. I think that's a good introduction. Just make sure your profile is kept up well and like looks professional.
Yeah, I'm currently taking a Business 300 class, and they're teaching us about LinkedIn right now.
Cool.
Perfect.
Speaking of like the Business 300, it was actually my EIR that I got in Business 300 that actually it wasn't the one that was assigned to me. I connected better with the one that wasn't assigned to me, but she was the one that picked apart my resume and made it look beautiful. It was kind of weird. I actually did seek out the Career Center and I've never heard back. Really weird. But if you're not hearing back from the Career Center, seek out other ways. And it was my EIR that totally, sometimes I feel like she got me the internships because she totally polished them up.
Yeah, it's awesome. They're such a great resource too, and they're super willing to help out. I'm pretty sure, I don't think they are actually paid. I think it's all volunteer work. So utilize them if they really want to be there. If they're just volunteering for it, they really want to be there. What firms are you guys all meeting with? You guys need to like drop it in the chat or unmute yourselves and talk about it, and we can give you guys some tips and tricks or something.
I'm meeting with most of them. Not the ones on Wednesday because I got an exam. Yeah, I've got an exam that day, but Aldrich, Lemmy, RBTK, who I can't find any internships from them, but I'll ask. Like if I can't find anything online, I'll ask them about that. Mostly everyone.
Yeah, you gotta get your name out to everyone, It's a great way to go about it. The more the merrier.
Not to mention, you guys are going to be pros after this is all said and done. And you're going to feel so much more confident.
And I'm being picky. I only have 3.
Hey, isn't it true that even with next semester, we're still going to be online?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
They already decided
So
that.
get used to this.
Yeah. We all got to be early risers to this new trend. So getting ready for it.
I barely even know what time it is right now.
Hey, and going back to like professional attire, like dress what you're comfortable in. I've got this like business outfit going on top. I'm wearing shorts and flip-flops. You guys can't see that, but I'm really comfortable right now. So if it makes you guys a little bit more comfortable to, be in sweatpants, just make sure that up top is, what's showing.
Shouldn't you wear pants just in case if anything happens, like you stub your toe and you accidentally stand up?
Don't you stub your toe standing up though?
No, it's like a reaction or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I personally am going to wear the entire suit for most of this stuff, just because I think that gives me more of a sense of confidence, But if you're if you're more comfortable in your normal casual clothes, at least for what the firms can see, definitely do that. Just make sure there's no reason you're going to have to stand up. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are those pajama pants?
Yeah. Or maybe a black pair of pajama pants that match your suit at least. So
And Josh just mentioned that he's meeting with CBiz, WNDE, Duffy, Moss Adams, Sempra, Newman, Lemmy, Cohen, Resnick. Is that what it is? And then
Yeah.
getting after it.
Josh is getting, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's getting really getting after it.
Keep my options open, you know.
Yeah,
If it sticks, it sticks.
exactly.
Sometimes students like will go into these office hours like really with no intention of being interested, but just for extra practice. So like I said, you guys are all going to be like pros by the time this is done and feel a lot more comfortable about the virtual setting. It's just when it's your first time, I get nervous every time I get on Zoom. I'm nervous right now talking to you guys. Maybe it never goes away, but I think every time I get a little bit less nervous to talk to people on virtual Zoom.
Yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. I think I had like slide 6 during the presentation. Right before I spoke, I like put my hands on my thighs and I was like, oh, I'm sweaty palms already. I thought I was ready for this. Guess not.
Palms are heavy.
Yeah, my my EIR for Business 300 a year ago, he said, no matter, and this, he was talking about interviews, but it can apply to anything like this. No matter how many times you do an interview or anything like that, even if someone claims, oh, I'm not nervous, they're probably lying. Most people are always going to be nervous to some extent. So that's just normal, sensitive like me.
Let's see, who else can I pick on? RJ, who are you meeting with?
Oh, I'm to name a few. I'm meeting with Moss, Deloitte, and Nigro.
Cool. Yeah, definitely good picks in there. Moises, what about you?
I'm meeting with Aldrich, CBiz, RBTK, Moss Adams, Sempra Energy, Cohn Resnick, and Deloitte. I applied to like 4 of those, so I know I wanted to apply for Moss Adams because that deadline was a lot closer than the other ones. But yeah.
Nice. Let's see who else. Brian, who are you meeting with?
So CBiz.
Cool.
I'm meeting it, and I was planning on meeting Moss Adams too.
Awesome, nice. CBiz is a great one. They're super cool at CBiz. Everyone I've talked to over there just seems like they absolutely love their job, which is huge in accounting because it's busy work. So it's, you get to meet people who are really love their job. Not just say all the firms there, they all love their job, but CBiz is like something special. They really love.
Yeah, they're really into it there.
Yeah. Ask them about the happy hours.
Yeah.
Just a side note too, like I had said before, if you're not actually going to their recruiting office hours, that doesn't mean you're eliminated from applying. So if you still want to apply with a firm that you didn't get to speak to, still, send in your resume and your cover letter. And then if you really want to try to get yourself noticed, then try to reach out to a recruiter or somebody, but you're not eliminated if you don't speak to them, just FYI.
Yeah, they're getting applicants from possibly all over the country for some of these firms too. So it's just because you weren't a part of Career Connections for a specific firm definitely doesn't rule you out.
Hey guys.
Hi, Karina.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you? Thanks for coming on.
Good. I do have a question. I made RSVPs for firms that I met last spring. What would you guys give any advice to like reintroduce myself to some of these firms?
So you can name drop. I think that's a big thing. If you remember exactly who you met with last time, and then someone, like I'll use the example of like CBiz. If you think last Career Connections, I think there's some really like good sellers for CBiz. Like I think Haley was there. Haley's super energetic. Forrest was there. Forrest is absolutely super cool to talk to. Not sure who you spoke to at which firm, but if you remember anyone, it's always a great thing if they bring up like their culture or if they bring they're in audit or tax, just dropping in like, oh yeah, I remember last semester I spoke to this person about it, and it seemed like an absolute great opportunity, stuff like that. Because then they're like, oh, okay, they are involved. They remember. They really are into our firm. So it's just more information getting it jogged into their head about who they're meeting with. I'd say that's probably my biggest note. Anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd say also, if you're speaking to the same person, bring up something that you guys talked about last time. If you remember, try to like re-jog their memory of a previous conversation. I think it just helps them remember you better, and or if you've thought of a new question to ask them, then do that too. Just keep it conversational.
Okay, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Like a radio show host.
I actually had.
I'm so excited for
Sorry,
you guys all to participate in this. I'm not recruiting, so it's a little less stressful for me this semester, but I kind of wish I was. Deloitte wasn't recruiting at CSUSM last semester, so it was super exciting when they reached out to be one of the firms involved.
Yeah. Olivia, what were you going to say?
Sorry. I actually had a quick question about, I applied to Moss Adams during the summer, or it might have been during the spring last semester. And I did a virtual interview with them, but I didn't get the internship, or I didn't get a second interview or anything. I was debating whether I wanted to apply again. I was thinking not, just because I didn't get it before, but what's you guys' thoughts on that? Like reapplying immediately? Should there be like a gap time, or should I?
Well, you said you're talking to Moss, right?
It was Moss Adams, yeah.
I've heard from different people that them specifically really like when people are persistent and like continuing to apply, showing they're interested. So I say if that's one of your top firms, keep showing that you're interested, and do things like this, come to events and just put yourself out there, do things that will make them look at you more, like become more involved and all that type of stuff. But I say definitely apply again if you're still interested, and just keep showing that.
You mind if I add something?
Yeah, definitely.
Forrest from CBiz?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember
He
him.
applied to that firm 4 times, and he all got denied, and then he got accepted on the 5th.
Yeah, and he just got promoted, I think, too. So,
Yeah.
he's really well there. So, yeah, don't let that discourage you, Olivia. Definitely apply some more and more.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's complementary to the firms that you're applying over and over again. It just shows them that you really like that firm.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't RSVP, but I was thinking of
I think you should definitely reach out to
Thank
a
you, guys.
recruiter. You can definitely reach out to a recruiter, and it could have just been, if you're reapplying and say it didn't work the first time around, or you didn't get in the first time around, then maybe take a second look over your resume and your cover letter. It's like I said, sometimes you're just automatically weeded out by their system. And it could be because you don't have the right keywords in there. Who knows? So definitely, I think if you're reapplying, don't keep submitting the same thing.
Yeah.
And let's have to hop off because we have class starting soon. So I think we're going to wrap it up. But thank you guys so much for hopping on. If you guys have any questions, I think we all dropped our emails in the chat. Go ahead and grab one of them and send us an email if you have any questions. If you want someone to look over your resume, cover letter before, you guys know you can always reach out to us and bounce questions off your peers. If you guys, like I said, if you guys really enjoyed this and you feel like you got a lot out of it or anything out of it, let us know. We'll send out a survey. And if it was beneficial, then hopefully we'll do another one of these things for interviews to get everyone prepped up for interviews. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Anything else anyone wants to add before we go?
No, thank you all for coming. This was fun to present for you and get to talk to you guys more personally. I feel like at the end, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you guys.
And good luck on all your interviews and everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.